I'm Anil Kumar. Let me thank all my viewers and subscribers for their request and watching my videos. Now, this is for the student who wants to understand how to add fractions and whole numbers together. So, I've taken up 4 examples here. We'll illustrate how to add fractions with whole numbers and also how to add 2 fractions and a whole number. You can actually pause the video, answer these questions, and then check solution with my solution. So let's begin with the very first one, which is 2 over 7 plus 1. Now, 2 over 7 is a fraction, 1 is a whole number. Straight answer here is 1 whole and 2 over 7. It is that simple as that. Now, this is our first method. So what we get here is a mixed number, right? So this is called a mixed number. Now, all questions may not be that simple. Now, let us have second method of doing it, right? So I'll call this as our method 1. Now, we'll use second method of doing the same thing, which is more flexible. Well, this is the most efficient. Now, you can treat 1 as 7 over 7. We need same denominator, right? So we could write 2 over 7. We could write 1 as 7 over 7. In that case, since we have the same denominators, we can add the numerators. We get 9 over 7. Now, 9 over 7 is improper fraction. We need to really convert that to mixed numbers. So to convert, what are we going to do? We are going to divide 9 by 7. So when you divide, you get 1 whole here, take away 7. We get 2 remainder. So that gives you the same answer as previous. That is 1 whole, 2 over 7. Do you see that? So in any case, we get the same answer. So that is very important to understand. Okay. Now let's take up the next example, which is we have to add 3 over 5 plus 1 over 10 plus 2. Now we need common denominator, right? So first step is to find common denominator. So what is the common denominator between 5 and 10? Right? So we call it least common denominator or least common multiple, which is 10. So we have to write each fraction with 10 as our denominator. So I could do that by multiplying both these by 2, right? So I could do that by multiplying both of them by 2. And here it is kind of 2 over 1. So I have to multiply this by 10. Do you see that? So what we get here is 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10. We already have 10 here in the denominator. We could write this as 20 over 10. Now, since we have the same denominator, I could add all these numbers. So we have 10 as common denominator. We're just going to add 6, 1 and 20. So what we get here is 27 over 10. So that is the answer as improper fraction, but you could divide by 10 and also write this as 2 whole and 7 over 10. Do you see that? 2 whole and 7 over 10. Correct? So with this strategy, now you understand it was a good idea to only do this part. So that is going to be 7 over 10, right? And then you can add 2 wholes and get your answer. Okay. That is not just it. There are something more about adding these numbers. Now we'll take up third and fourth example in the next page to see. Sometimes it can be really complicated. So here are these 2 examples. So in this question, we have 5 and 6. So what is the lowest common denominator possible? 6 times 5, 30. So we have to write everything with 30 in the denominator, right? So what we could do here is we can multiply these two by 6. we say cross multiply also. We could multiply this by 6 and these by 5, correct? We can add 1 later, right? We'll do this time like that. We'll add 1 later. So what we are doing here is multiplying by 6, we get 6 times 2 as 12, 6 times 5 as 30, plus 5 times 1 is 5 over 30, and then we'll add 1 later. So common denominator is 30, we get 12 plus 5, we'll add 1 later, perfect. So we get 17 over 30 plus 1 and write this as 1 17 over 30. Does it make sense to you? So I hope this is the real method which should be applied for getting quick answer. Let's do it once again for the last question. Now here, what is the lowest common denominator? It should be 3 times 2, 6, right? So we'll keep 6 as our common denominator. Cross multiply, we get 4 plus cross multiply, we get 3, and we'll add 2 later, just as we did here. This time we get 7 over 6 plus 2. Do you see that part? Now 7 over 6 is again improper, right? What should we do here? Now there are 2 ways to go about. One is, think about 7 over 6 is kind of like 6 plus 1 over 6. Do you see that? 7 over 6 itself can be written as 1 whole plus 1 over 6. And we already have 2 here. So we could write this as 3 1 over 6. Do you see that part? Right? So this is one approach. 7 over 6 could be written as 1 whole 1 over 6. Add 1 and 2, you get 3 1 over 6. Does make sense to you? Well, the other approach could have been, let's do the other approach. We want to add 7 over 6 with 2. So we need the same denominator. It will be 7 over 6 plus 12 over 6. Think about 2 over 1. Since we want to make this 6, equivalent fraction will be multiplying both by 6. So we get 19 over 6. Correct? Now we have to return it back to mixed numbers. So we have 19 divided by 6. 6 goes 3 times, which is 18. Remainder is 1. So we could write this as equal to 3 whole, remainder 1 over 6. Perfect. So that's the second approach which you could have adopted. However, this is again a very efficient way. So once you get improper fraction, you have to convert to mixed numbers, just as we did here. So it's good to see it this way so that it's faster. Well, it's all up to you. You can adopt the method you like, but I hope here we do have alternate ways of adding fractions with whole numbers. Feel free to write your comments and share your views. I hope you like and appreciate it. Thanks for watching and all the best.